Good morning, everyone. Welcome along to the MSP Mastermind Hour. Today we're going through smart contracts. Great to have you all along. Thank you very much, Joe, from our team for setting this up. Joe, do you want to get the recording started? Because we're going to send out a recording to people that have registered that weren't here, and also those that are online as well. I'm just going to get organised with my screen here. Share. Here we go. Excellent. So, like I said, welcome along to the MSP Mastermind Hour. Today we're going through smarter agreements for a smarter 2025, obviously put on by Zen Contract and hosted by myself, which is Greg Sharp. I'm the CEO and founder of Zen Contract. So, welcome to you all. Some of the names there we registered, that have registered, we obviously know and existing clients, and then some that are new names as well. So, welcome to all of you. Today, we're going to go through just a short agenda and overview. We're going to go through some introductions, have a look at what the problem is with traditional MSP contracts, and then go through an introduction of the concept of smart agreements. We're going to then flick over to the Zen Contract software and just see some of those things in action so that we can get a context of how that would affect your MSP and for the better. And of course, we'll be having some Q&A towards the end. But to that end, along the way, please feel free to ask questions, and along the way through either the chat option or just come off silent and interrupt. Either way is perfectly fine. We'll be recording this session so that we can share it with all registrants afterwards, including yourself as participants. And so if for some reason you have a question that you don't necessarily want to be on the recording, or you'd like to ask something externally, then of course you can just contact us directly. And my email address is greg@zencontract.com. You're welcome to get in touch at any time.
Sorry, Greg, can I just jump in?
Sure.
Just with the everybody is set on mute. It's just a default with these webinars. So if you try and take yourself off mute, it won't work. You'll need to pop your question in the chat box.
Great. Okay, good clarity there. So a little bit of introduction. My name's Greg Sharp. We've called ourselves a MSP head coach, but a founder and CEO at Zen Contract. Used to be an MD and GM of a company called Base 2. I founded that business in 2008, ended up selling it in 2020 for a great multiple, as you can see there, to an organisation called Cordia, which is owned by the New Zealand government, a large or third largest telco in New Zealand. So I founded and sold 3 other businesses and been in this industry for much longer than I would care to remember, which just sort of typifies my age. And have been on a couple of advisory boards, both the names that you can see there in Datto and Dropbox, and around about 20 odd IT Reseller News Awards. And I see that we've got Scott Green on here, is also one of the Hall of Famers from the IT Reseller News Awards. So both of us have been around a reasonable amount of time. So just wanted to introduce the actual software. Like I said, some of you are existing customers and you're going to know these things, but those of you that are not or new to Zen Contract, the story goes along the lines of, in 2018, we had an MSP business. We started Zen Contract with a view to mature the operational arrangement of how we managed all types of contracts and agreements within our business. We had all sorts of disparate systems. We're about to go through this problem statement in a minute. It was very much apparent in our business, and we wanted a way to create a repeatable business process that gave us the outcomes that we wanted, streamlining all of the time and effort that went into creating, distributing, negotiating, and managing the renewals of all of those agreements. And Zen Contract is the platform that's been built specifically for that. So I'll just pause for a second. Joe, any questions in there? I can't see that on my screen, but if there's not, then I'll continue on to the next slide.
No, there's nothing that's come through yet.
So the problem that we found both in our MSP, and we have now north of 150 partners using Zen Contract from all over the globe, and the same issues that they found is that they were finding that there is no centralized way to manage all of these agreements. And so the current contract chaos that they have is that they're doing a pitch to their customer, then they're issuing a brochure. There's always followed up by a quote. There's a whole lot of communication that is not necessarily tracked, and it's from email, and then it might be from chat, and then it might be from phone conversations. And then it's followed on by a scope of works that may be negotiated. Sometimes people have a master services agreement that is actually embedded into their managed services agreement, and so we'd advocate that that should be separate. There's all sorts of endless email chains that are going backwards and forwards with the client, and eventually you would end up chasing the client for some sort of close and gathering an e-signature, and there's a considerable amount of non-connected systems that end up having to be connected by the individual or a series of individuals inside the MSP. And we figured that there just has to be a much better way of doing things, and hence why we wrote the software and created what we believe is the best way to engulf this process into a singular workflow, and came up with something that's called smart agreements. The concept of smart agreements is that you would have a managed services proposal / agreement all into one, and that is underwritten by your master services agreement. So you'll consolidate all of those documents and combine proposals and scope of works and contracts into one dynamic document. It is dynamic in the nature of the fact that it's interactive with your customer. It's captured into one portal, and they have the ability to be able to interact with it in that they can increase and decrease quantities. They can choose optional items. You are allowing the end customer to be involved in the buying process by giving them some options. So it's flexible to fit into any stage of whether it is selling to an existing customer with a new MRR agreement, even though you're selling something to them previously, or it is a net new customer that is receiving a proposal / agreement from you in their first instance. The main point of difference here is to understand that when you send out a proposal with all this correct information in it, even though it's not long and it's accepted, and then you would send them the master services agreement, those two things operate together to give you a very full and complete agreement infrastructure around selling managed services with all of your legal frameworks and everything in place. Whereas typically in the past, it might be a pitch document, and then as we went through before, a pitch document, and then a quote, and then a scope of works, and then there's just so many documents. We want to make that buying process for the end customer very succinct and unified. Off the back of these smart agreements, there is all sorts of automated workflows that can be built in around the seeing, signing, distribution, notification of all people, and then compliance around storing a copy of those executed agreements in the correct place and having them referenceable, and then obviously having it highly integrated into your PSA systems, so that whether you're using ConnectWise or Autotask, Halo or others in the future, that the system will manage the process of building those agreements. Once you actually have all those signatures, it will build the contract line items into your PSA, making sure that you are minimizing the work and syncing your processes directly into your PSA. So what we're going to do now is just going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share a different portion. We're going to log into Zen Contract. Open to any and all questions at this stage if you would like, so we can...
We have one from April Sterling. Can you limit access to what customers can change?
Yeah, very good question, April. So you absolutely can. The ability, there's a number of areas that you can get the customer to interact with things. So one is you can create prompts to gather information from the customer. The other one is that you can, excuse me, I'll get rid of that most unfortunate timing, is that you can gather information from the customer. You can put pricing forward to them with the ability to increase and decrease quantities, and you can put forward optional items where they can choose to engage and take particular services from you and not others. What you are not allowing them to do is actually go in and edit any clauses of the actual agreement itself, or the MSA, that would be done by the negotiation side of things. So hopefully that answers your question. So the short answer is yes, you can limit what they can interact with, and via the negotiation modules, you can agree those sort of extra clauses outside. Okay, we're going to. So this is the template module inside Zen Contract. Access by going into templates and then finding the particular one that you want and editing it. You can see that our templates are all made up of sections, and each particular section we've got the ability to be able to lock down at an admin level as to which sections are read-only and which ones are mandatory. So read-only means that your users, April, to your point, not the end customers, we're now talking about internal users, as to which sections that they can edit and not edit. Case in point would be if there is a particular section in there that deals with extra terms and conditions for managed services, you don't want your users to be able to edit those on the fly and negotiate things external to what your business process is. So you can make those read only and lock them down, and particular sections that you can make sure that they are mandatory and people can't leave them out. There's various pricing bundles here, which we gather groups of products and services out of Autotask or ConnectWise or whatever your PSA is. And under your workflow rules here, we've got the ability to be able to create workflows. And let me take you through very quickly what these are. So we can make certain templates visible to some people and not others. There's a concept of a counter signature here. So if you choose to turn this on, then every agreement or that for that particular template would need a counter signature from one of the senior people who is nominated back inside your business before the agreement is bound and becomes enforceable by law. Naming convention, we've got the ability here to be able to automatically build the contract into your PSA. This particular one's hooked up to Autotask. That's reasonably unique to Zen Contract, is that if you gather the signatures and you gather the information that you need, it binds it into a locked PDF and then goes through the process and automatically builds that contract into your PSA. So we've got various abilities here to be able to pull through product SKUs. This is adjustable quantities, like I was talking about before. This is one of the areas where your customer would would nominate as to whether you might be quoting managed services for 25 people, but they've done a tally and they want to actually do 27 because they had more people than they thought. They can adjust those quantities up and down. You can also limit them as a minimum. So if you quote 25, you don't want it to go below 25, but it can be extended up. You've got that capability as well. And we have these things called conditional price rules. This is not interacting with the customers, but it gives you the ability to be able to put rules on your template that says, if someone's quoting this amount of managed services, automatically put this amount of onboarding time into the quote as well in there. So the whole system can be white labeled, and this is the welcome email that we can make look and feel exactly like all of your look and feel and all of your branding, all of your vernacular, the way that you speak to your customers is totally 100% customized. Workflows here at the end, when this contract is executed, these automation emails will go off to the people that you nominate to make sure that everyone is notified. We always look at telling people to send a copy to finance, one to your projects team because they know what they're going to deliver. The system itself will send emails to all the people that are involved in the process anyway. So your user that's creating this, your customers that are signing, You can have 4 customer signatures if you're dealing with a large organization that might need multiple sign-offs. You can actually have 4 signatories that are external to that particular domain as well. So if you need to go into various parties to get the contract signed, and potentially 1 or 2 of those is operating outside another business, then you can achieve that automation and workflow as well. All right, so what with this, the other thing that underpins the smart agreements module is having a centralized area to be able to manage, excuse the 0% there, they'll explain that in a second, manage all of your MSAs, your master services agreement, in one point. Very important point this is that a lot of the MSP industry up till now has been operating under a managed services agreement, which typifies, I'm selling you managed services and here's all my terms and conditions. We are on a mission to educate the MSP industry, and getting our way through that is to separate out your terms and conditions to your master services agreement. And every single one of your customers should sign a master services agreement, and then that sits in the background and underwrites any other managed service agreements or VCIO service agreements or managed security agreements. They're all underpinned by your master services agreement. That means that all the terms and conditions are taken out of these proposal/contract documents that you have. And that way, any subsequent things that you are selling to your business, they don't have to go back through their legal approval and read your terms and conditions every single time. So what we've built here is a singular area that gives you the ability to be able to create an MSA, which we're going to do. We're going to do a bulk send here when I clear my screen out. And this is going to get all of your contacts, and we can actually send as many of these managed services agreements as we would like in one particular time. So we can send out 999 MSAs in one go by clicking on select, and we go MSA for Jan 2025. And you'll see that we've got a master services agreement there. We're going to leave all those sections in. If we wanted to leave a section out for a particular reason, then we can. And we're going to click on next. And very, very quickly, we've got the ability to be able to send out an MSA to a bulk amount of people. You could send it to all of your recipients at once if you would like to, and the system sits in the background and manages the distribution one at a time, and then manages the follow-up with all of the reminders module that we have there to be able to get those across the line. And as you send them out, obviously, we're going to review and email that and send it off. The system will manage the process of the seeing and the signing and the storing of all those MSAs. Once you get them signed and back, you're going to see your score go up. So you can now review it, proceed, and send that out. It's going to send it off to all of those people. It's going to be sent via Office 365. The whole solution is tightly integrated into M365 using single sign-on and SharePoint for storing of all the files once they're executed underneath the SharePoint target in your SharePoint infrastructure, split out by customer folder. So external to Zen Contract, you have a whole reference point where all of your agreements are kept, and automatically they are also stored inside of your PSA, which means you've got them stored in 3 places, very compliant to any ISO 27001 contract management process that you might be aspiring to. The system adheres to it. So I'll just pause there for a section. We've got any questions there, Joe? Take that as a no. We'll move on. I'll just stop sharing there and see if there's any questions. Q&A, we don't. Very good. So let me go back to the solution here. So that's MSAs that we've had a look at. We then just wanted to go through and actually really quickly take you through how easy it is to actually create a contract. So we use a demo person called Harry Styles, and we're going to select that person. We're then going to go through and select an IT proposal. And the reason we're doing it this way is I want to show you how easy it is to actually get one out the door. And there's the managed IT services agreement. I'm going to go demo for webinar. So you've got all these sections here around your IT managed services agreement and a cover service proposal, all of your SLAs and everything. And then we've got a pricing area here as well. We'll click on next. We are then going to have the ability to be able to edit any of these particular sections and push it out the door. One of these is for pricing. I'm going to skip over that for just demo purposes, but it allows us to grab a bundle and pull through a bunch of products and services very quickly from your PSA price book and easily and quickly get this agreement and sent out the door. So it's a very, very quick process that you can see there with a whole lot of rules and governance that can happen around the back end that I showed you earlier on around whether the customer can interact with things and pull information through. And that sends it out, takes us back out to our dashboard, and we can have a look at all of our agreements that are in place currently and the ones that we have pulled through. There's a good number in here, is 770 odd. We can have a look at one that was sent off and viewed reasonably quickly. And the things that are tracked in the background here is around the pricing overview and obviously the timeline of all the interactions, so you can see exactly when it was viewed and when a reminder email was sent. So you've got that ability to be able to have track and trace. If you wanted to cancel that contract because you didn't want it to be have the customer to be able to accept that any longer, you can go through the cancel contract process and it will withdraw that from the capability. All right. So very quickly, I just wanted to go back to Teams and see if we've got any questions up there and open up the floor. So I've got one Q&A, just loading that up. Seems to be taking a little bit of time there, but right, we've got a couple of people with their hands up. So Scott, are you able to come off mute there, or can you just load your question into Q&A? All right, so there we go. It is in there. All right, I'm not sharing my screen. That would help a lot, wouldn't it? There we go. Very good. You aren't sharing, correct, Scott Green. All right, do the standard templates get edited within Zen Contract, or are they maintained outside in Word and then uploaded as a PDF? So, great question. So the templates are actually provided by our marketplace, which you can go into the marketplace here, which I'm going to click on. I am sharing my screen, so thank you for that, Scott. So this is going to load the marketplace, which has a whole bunch of templates already in it. During the onboarding process, we actually carry in-house legal services. So Shelby's our in-house lawyer and who only specializes in MSP contracts. We've built up a number of MSA templates for the particular geographies, New Zealand, Australia, UK, Ireland, USA, Canada, and beyond. And those MSAs are provided during the onboarding process should they want one. If you already have your own template infrastructure, then it's very easy to upload them into Zen Contract, and then they're able to be maintained via the editor in there as needed. We have a service where you can have ongoing, call it legal, Zen legal protection, and that ongoing research about keeping your MSA up to date is done by us, and your MSA is maintained on an ongoing basis as part of the service. So I'll then just go back to any further questions. If I could figure out how to turn the old compulsory mute off, then I would do that. But any further questions from the floor, please feel free to put those into the Q&A. Failing that, I will just go back to the solution and have a look at what the end customer experience is like as far as when they receive the email, because I've got access to Harry's email. And there we go. So demo for webinar gets delivered via an email. This one's obviously very bland, but can be made to look quite design heavy. And the end user would click on the link and they would receive the contract. They can review the whole thing. All of this is being tracked in the background, so we get some knowledge about how it's been interacted with. And should they want to go forward, click on start, and it's going to allow us to go through a signature process, and we will adopt and sign and put that in. And then it's going to populate through to a counter signature. That type of process is something that we're, as a group, not particularly unfamiliar with, the whole e-signature side of things. But it's the smart agreements is the fact that we've got a proposal that can be an agreement. It's underwritten by an MSA. Managing those MSAs is incredibly important. And also what we have there to round that out is, because we are sending out agreements that can have start dates and end dates, we want to have a very seamless way of managing our renewals. So we have a renewals dashboard that allows us to see all of our customers down the left and all of the contracts that they have with us in one succinct point. We also have the ability to be able to manage the process of renewing those contracts. So you can nominate in the system as to how many days you would like the renewal bucket to be. It could be 30 days, 60 days, a whole year. It will just show me all contracts and I can renew them at any time. But when we have a renewal here, we can choose from the number of ones that are in front of us to be able to click on and go through the process of renewing that. So if we click on proceed, we can choose the contact that we want to notify, and we can choose a new end date that we're going to do the customer for that service. It is going to pre-populate all of the things that we are currently supplying to that customer and put us into a notification workflow. So we're going to notify the end customer. We're then going to go through, so that sends it off an email to them saying you've got a renewal coming up and that we're working on it. You can customize exactly what that email looks like by going into renewals and settings. And when we click on create the renewal contract, it's going to go through and allow us to choose a renewal template, and it will pre-populate all of those particular details. And we'll renewal for demo, and we're going to go through and choose exactly what we have here as far as all of the pricing. And you see the pricing there is pre-populated all of the things that we're currently selling to them. So we could go in and change it. We can add things by just searching our PSA database and adding that item in. And so we can cross-sell and upsell and really start to, we can also put on adjustable quantities and allow them to change the quantities that they have that we're supplying to them, and allow the end customer to manage, to be involved in that renewal process. If we want to create an opportunity inside your PSA or link to an existing one, we can, and we can complete all of those sections and review an email and send that off. When that gets signed at the other end, we can tell the system to automatically retire the old contract, renew it with the new contract, and it will notify all of the correct people around exactly how that goes. So there we kind of have the full life cycle of the smart agreement process, right? No longer are we going in and out of many different systems. Everything to do with the creation, the distribution, the signing, the compliance, and managing the renewal is all contained inside one particular system that can really streamline the process of how you manage your agreements and get really smart with them in 2025. All right. So what do we have moving forward as far as how you can interact with Zen Contract if you are not doing so already? As for 2025, we have a a smart agreement fast track program. So this is a coaching session to re-strategize your recurring revenue contracts and how you're actually managing them from beginning. So we'll audit that process of how you are managing agreements currently and look to set that up. We bring in Shelby, who's our in-house legal gun, to have a look at your contracts and see whether you're operating with the correct terms and conditions depending on your geography and your limitation of liability, making sure that your risk position is in check. We have in-house designers as well that can have a look at making sure that your documents are commensurate with your brand and your look and feel, from your website to your agreements to your MSA to your the way you look and feel with your business is fully unified. We have a full onboarding and training, and then a 12-month subscription to Zen Contract, which is all together is valued up at $9,000, but we've got a 25% discount available to that, and that's for all webinar attendees or registrants. There's a huge saving there, and something that will really allow your business to thrive in 2025. And with that, I'm going to open up the floor to questions, and I'm going to, while I wait for any questions, have a go to see whether I can change the things to see whether you can come off mute. So Scott Green, do you want to turn your screen on and tell me whether you can actually come off mute, or is it still locked there? No, locked. Let's see if I can. There you go. Let's see whether I can do that for everyone. You can now come off mute, I think. No. All right. Well, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to either put them into the Q&A thing there and drop them into the Q&A, or to email me. Email me. No. Can't do anything from here either. That's something for us to definitely get on board with next time, is to organise so people can actually come off mute and have a speak. It's a learning moment. But please feel free to email me at greg@zencontract.com if you've got any questions post this. And thank you very much for your attendance. It's been great to have you on board, and thank you for taking the time. I hope that you got something out of the session, and if there's anything that I can help you with at all, please do email greg@zencontract.com. I know Joe is going to follow up with a couple of emails and put a couple of offers out to you. We will have our SDR team reach out and see if it's of interest without being too pesky, and we certainly won't be too forthright. But if this is something that you're looking to get undertaken for 2025, then we'd love to help you out. So with that, thank you very much for your time, and look forward to interacting with you soon. See you later.